Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, 27-year veteran of the NYPD. Folks, we have a case coming out of San Antonio, Texas, a missing mom. But it seems much more nefarious than that, because this missing mom, whose name is Suzanne Simpson, has been missing for almost exactly a week right now. And the thing that concerns everyone about this is that it appears that she was or is the victim of domestic violence by that man to her left, which is her husband, Brad Simpson. And apparently they've been married for over 22 years. And I can't sugarcoat this. She's been missing for for a week, and under really sort of suspicious circumstances, let me put it that way. There was an altercation on last Sunday night at about 11 o'clock outside their window of their home. A neighbor heard it. The altercation got physical between her and her husband. And apparently at some point, this neighbor heard 3 screams coming from a wooded area. And allegedly the neighbor went out to see if he could help. After that, there was really no sighting of Miss Simpson, Suzanne Simpson. There was no sighting. And about an hour after that, the husband was seen leaving his home in his black pickup truck. It's a sort of a blurry picture, but that is the last picture of Suzanne Simpson that they believe. She was wearing those clothes on that Sunday night. The husband's been arrested, charged with 2 charges. One of them, which was domestic violence charges and assault and unlawful restraint. And in those 2 charges, $1 million bond on each, so $2 million bond. So do you think the authorities have a lot of confidence that this is going to end well? I hate to say it, and I hate to not be optimistic about this, but 7 days have gone by. Suzanne Simpson's body or her alive has not yet to be recovered. The husband is totally uncooperative. Also a very, very bad sign. So folks, hold on to your hats. Hold on to your family, your friends, your neighbors. Hold on to your cup of coffee, your glass of wine. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off-the-cuff zone, the police off-the-cuff zone. There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
Folks, before we move on to talking about this case, I just want a little word from our sponsor. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your #1 source for everything sports betting. Every stat, matchup breakdown, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during games. With the largest catalog of odds on everything from football, Major League Baseball playoffs, National Hockey League, NBA, to political props. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet online. The game starts here. So joining me tonight the always affable, the always mellow, the always I don't know what other adjectives to use, but he's a retired NYPD sergeant, professor at Albertus Magnus College in Connecticut, attorney. He's wearing all those hats. Welcome to the show, Professor Michael Geary.
Hey, Bill, good to see you. Good evening. Welcome.
Mike,
This is a good
I almost
show.
thought I was going to hear some applause, but I can't hear that in the background.
I've got about five supporters here, about five fans. Yeah,
we got supporters. You're well loved in this audience. So these missing person cases, and this is more than a missing person case. This is what we would refer to on the NYPD and many other police departments, not just the NYPD. We would refer to this as a special category missing person. And why is it a special category missing person? Mike, you can tell our audience why it is.
Yeah, special category is not like a teenager who has a fight with their parents and runs away and is out for the weekend. No, special category is special, and it needs special attention immediately. This is when there's a missing child, a missing elderly person that may have some sort of dementia, someone who's said that they're going to commit suicide, someone who is needs has some sort of special needs like medicine or something, that they don't take it on a fairly consistent basis, that their life is in danger, someone who has been threatened in the past or is thought to have be subject of a crime. Those people that's where you set up the headquarters. You open up a log, you get the transit police, in NYPD, you get the housing police, you get everybody on board. You notify the buses, the trains, everybody to be on the lookout. You get like the Amber Alert kind of thing. That's what this is all about. This is all hands on deck, as quick as possible. Let's start from the center, the middle of the wheel, and work our way out. So this is a special category because of the potential risk to her.
Absolutely. Here's a picture of, and this picture is from a few years ago. The husband looks a hell of a lot younger than he does in this picture, which is I believe that picture is taken from his mugshot. The husband of a missing Texas woman is now behind bars on charges related to the alleged events that took place hours before her disappearance. Brad Simpson, 53 years old, reported his wife Suzanne Simpson, 51, missing to the Almost Park Police Department on Monday, a day after she disappeared in San Antonio following a fight between them. Obviously, that's bad news too, because he wanted to give himself enough space between whatever he did to her and reporting her to the police. And as I said, early on in the show, he was uncooperative from minute one. So that is also a red flag to the police. Your wife's missing. You have 4 kids at home and you're not cooperating? What does that say to you, Mike? It said that he did something really, really bad here.
To me, it's consciousness of guilt. Why aren't you out there, beating the bushes saying, how can I help? I have a pickup truck. It's 4-wheel drive. I can look for, where do you want me to help? Give me a vest. Give me a flashlight. I've got 2 hands. I can do this. That's the way a person who has no criminal intent or has done nothing wrong, who's innocent, would act. Somebody who's really concerned. Somebody who clams up in a situation like this, that, you don't even have to be any seasoned officer. Even a first day rookie on the job knows that's bad news. That's consciousness of guilt. When you're sitting there, attaching your your Fifth Amendment rights, Miranda rights, not to speak to anybody, that's bad. That's why so quickly the police centered on him, because from the very beginning, he's acting strange. That's consciousness of guilt.
Absolutely. Police said there was enough suspicion of foul play that they filed warrants for Brad's arrest, one for assault causing bodily injury, family violence, and another for unlawful restraint. He was arrested Thursday and booked at the Kendall County Jail, where a $1 million bond was set for each charge, thus the $2 million. Brad and Suzanne have been married for 22 years and have kids together. So on Sunday night, Brad and Suzanne returned home after attending a party at the Argyle in San Antonio. A neighbor told police that he heard the couple arguing that night between 10 and 11 p.m. He said the arguing became louder, and when he looked outside his bedroom window, saw the couple in a physical fight. He claimed Suzanne was trying to get away from her husband as he kept pulling her back down. The neighbor told police that it appeared Brad was clearly attempting to keep Miss Simpson from running away, according to the arrest affidavit. A short time later, the neighbor said he went outside to check on things and heard screams from a wooded area near the home. Police said Suzanne was last seen wearing a black knee-length dress and black heels. She could also be barefoot. This was what she was last seen wearing. The neighbors then said Brad drove away in his black GMC pickup truck and left his house, returning 1 or 2 hours later. On Monday at 3 p.m., the school where one of their kids attends called Brad to tell him that the child was still at school as Suzanne did not pick them up as per usual. Police said Wednesday that Suzanne, a real estate agent, had not been to work. According to the arrest affidavit, school staff told police on Tuesday that one of the couple's kids said her parents had been fighting and her father had assaulted her mother and taken her phone. The child also mentioned that Suzanne had a bruise on her elbow. The affidavit states that Brad had reportedly fled to his ranch in Bandera County at some point during the week and seemed to be distancing himself from his family. Police said he was uncooperative in their investigation and didn't attend a police interview. So all of those are gigantic red flags. As I talk about whenever we have a missing person, and Mike was also a patrol supervisor, being a sergeant in the NYPD as well as I was, and I've responded to hundreds of these missing person cases. Do they always become special category missing persons? No, they do not. In this case, most police departments' procedure is when someone reports a missing person, the first thing you do is you search the home of the missing person. Now, I wonder, because of Brad's becoming a suspect immediately, if he said, I don't want you searching my home. And then what that would entail is the police would have to say, okay, we'll have to get a search warrant because we're going to search your home. But he could have been afraid of what they're going to find. But usually, if someone's missing and they're legit, the relatives or the friends, the family, they will not object to you searching their home, because that's one of the first places you want to search to see, could the missing person still be in this home? So I'd be interested to know, did Brad allow that, or did he insist on a search warrant for that? After that, of course, you would do a canvass of the area. And that, I would imagine, is how they found this neighbor witness who recounted the loud argument, the assault, the fight, and the screams from the wooded area. So those are the preliminary things that you would do. And just from those preliminary things, you find out a lot. And by finding out a lot, the husband, Brad, uncooperative. What do we have? We have any evidence of foul play? Yes, we do. He assaulted his wife. According to the kids, he assaulted his wife. According to this, let's lock him up. Let's put him on ice so he's not going anywhere. Let's put him where he can't do any other harm. Let's put him where we know where he is. And then we'll do all the things we have to do. Mike.
Yeah, basically, Billy, you want him on ice, like you say, because he cannot go under a cover of darkness or anything like that to maybe go back and cover his tracks, destroy evidence, whatever he thinks he needs to do. He's got a cell he's sitting in, and he knows now he can't control anything. So you get him out of the way. Unfortunately, of course, the crime has taken place. He's one step ahead of the police on that, but he can't advance his agenda anymore. The idea that, he wouldn't, I am sure, like you say, I am sure that he would not allow them, if he's going to be uncooperative and not talk to them about any aspects of what happened after that fight, he's definitely not going to let them search the house. That would make sense. He just wants nothing to do with them. And so therefore he's going to wait till he gets an attorney, and his attorney's going to whisper in his ear. But he's going to be a tough nut to crack, because he's got whatever he did, he got away with initially. And now he's just thinking, how long can I, keep them at bay? And the good thing is you won't be able to keep them at bay too long. They'll get the search warrants. They'll get his house. They'll get his cell phone. They'll get his wife's cell phone records, even if they don't. And I think, wait a minute, I think also he has her cell phone. They'll be able to get inside her cell phone. But yeah, being that they've been married this long and they've got a bunch of children, and this kind of violent encounter took place so loud that the neighbors heard it and were concerned and actually went outside a little while later. And after the screams ended, this is not the first time that something like this happened in their past. And I'm sure that the more they dig into this guy, the more they're going to see a lot of other domestic violence issues, either informally or maybe there's previous reports made. But they know who they're dealing with. He is suspect number one. He is the only suspect. And so therefore, it's good that he's on ice where he can't do any harm to anybody else.
Absolutely. Let's play this from KSAT San Antonio.
6 days since Almost Park mom Suzanne Simpson was last seen. Tonight, we have new pictures of Suzanne to share with you in hopes that someone remembers seeing her. The night team Zaria Oates has been in contact with DPS all day, who updated her about the search efforts this weekend.
New pictures in from Suzanne Simpson's loved ones, hoping the photos will jog someone's memory and maybe help them remember if they saw her. The 51-year-old mom was last seen on October 6th. As of October 12th, Suzanne is still missing and her husband, Brad Simpson, is in jail on separate charges with an additional hold by federal authorities. His bond is $2 million for 2 charges: assault causing bodily injury, family violence, and unlawful restraint. Even if he were to make the bond payment, we're told Brad Simpson would likely then be placed in federal custody for further questioning. The Almost Park police chief says the charges Brad Simpson is facing are not currently related to his wife's disappearance, but the chief says Brad is also not providing any information to help find her.
He still has not cooperated. We would love for him to give us some information because we're searching for her. The children have reached out and we're cooperating with them to try to get as much help as we can. Obviously, these 4 kids miss their mom, and so we're doing everything we can.
However, Brad Simpson's brother, Barton Simpson, shared on Facebook that the family is, quote, devastated by the disappearance of Suzanne, and they're doing everything they can to fully cooperate with law enforcement. The Department of Public Safety tells KSAT anyone with information about Brad Simpson's black pickup truck should contact the Almost Park Police Department. They're specifically seeking information about Brad's GMC AT4 pickup truck, license plate MWD 7050, between the morning of October 7th and 11 p.m. on October 8th. Authorities have launched several searches for Suzanne Simpson over the past week. As of Saturday, DPS does not have plans for additional large-scale searches over the weekend.
There's less activity now because we have limited resources, and we will activate more searches here as needed.
If you have any additional information, you're still asked to contact Almost Park Police Dispatch at 210-822-2000. Additional information, including domestic violence resources, can be found on our website.
Mike, one of the things that I didn't like regards to what Chief Villegas said, we have limited resources. Then solicit the public, get the public. We need volunteers to help us search this area. Get a couple of hundred volunteers. Civilians can be just as good at searching under the supervision of the police. If you can't get civilians, get the state police out there. This is not going to end well. Let's face it. You know what I mean? This is not. To think that she's still alive is being way, way overly optimistic. I mean, it's just the circumstances of this and the fact that the husband is not cooperating whatsoever. The fact that the neighbor heard screams coming out of the woods. The fact that the neighbor saw them get into a physical altercation. The fact that there's been 7 days since she's been seen. Not good. Not good, Mike, at all. They also had the San Antonio rescue searching with drones, helicopters, on foot. But look, we've seen cases like this before. Look, we're just not even getting over, but in February, of course, Madeline Soto.
Right.
A body went missing on February 26th. It wasn't found till March 1st.
Right.
That was at first a missing person, although we all knew it was that dirtbag Stefan Stearns. And we all knew that that was going to end really badly also. The circumstances. So now, what do the police do now? What do they do now, Mike? Well, what they do now, this goes into high gear investigation-wise. So what investigative tools do they use now? Obviously searches, but let's turn towards science, right? He's got that big GMC pickup truck. It looks like it's somewhat of a late model. Probably has GPS. That truck is a crime scene. Let's hope they went through that truck with a fine-tooth comb and searched everything, because chances are he transported her dead body in that truck and dumped her somewhere. Cell phone technology. Did he have his cell phone on wherever he drove to? He had her cell phone. Was her cell phone on as he went wherever he went? Geofencing, which is a technology whereby they can pull up every electronic device in a certain area at a certain time. Unbelievable, has gotten unbelievable results in missing person cases. Victimology. We have to dig deep into Miss Simpson's relationships. She's the victim in this. Their domestic violence history. I guarantee they have a domestic violence history. Guaranteed. This didn't just happen on this day. Brad Simpson. What's his story, right? Apparently, there was this case where he doesn't pay his bills. So he may have at once had money. Apparently he doesn't any longer because he stiffed American Express twice and they filed lawsuits against him. Does he have a criminal history? And again, we spoke about, when we talk about victimology, the study of the victim, of course, the victim will be Suzanne Simpson. Let's speak to her coworkers at work. She sells real estate. Did she confide in any of them about her home life, about what's going on at home? Her children. They've already interviewed one of the kids at school, and they said they were fighting. My father was getting physical with my mom. All of those things are important in this investigation to try to find out what's going on. Because this guy, Bart, is not Bart Simpson. It's not
Bart. No, it's
it's
not Bart.
Brad. What am I thinking?
Brad.
I'm thinking Bart. Brad Simpson is not going to cooperate.
Yeah.
He's not going to volunteer any information. So the investigators have to do the best possible job they can do without his cooperation. Mike?
Yeah, you're right. It's gonna, he will not help. Everything they do, they have to do on their own. All the leads they have to develop on their own because he's not helping. And I'm thinking, as you're talking about victimology, I'm also thinking purpology, as you like to say. What he has a ranch or some sort of property outside of the marital home, the family home. And so the fact that he was seen leaving in his pickup truck and coming back a few hours later leads me to believe that he transported her body to a remote location on land that he probably was familiar with. And so he's got some sort of property, ranch that I don't know if it's 100 acres, 1 acre, or 1,000 acres, but it's going to take a long time to search it. He may have had, enough time, depending on how far it was from where that assault took place in the woods. He may have had enough time to bury her, or fairly quickly, or maybe he just threw some brush on top of her, or maybe put her someplace under some rocks, whatever happened to be. But I'm thinking that's where he would have to put her. And I'm glad they got him as fast as they did, because he can improve upon that, whatever he may initially have done. But the purpology to me suggests that's what he did. She's, lying in a culvert somewhere on property that he's very familiar with, that he's comfortable with, that he knows that he can get in and out. He's not going to raise suspicion. His truck isn't going to be on the side of the road with him digging a ditch. It's going to be on his property, hidden and then he drives back like 2 or 3 hours later. That's where I think when they get this case into the search into high gear, that's where they should concentrate on, because that, I think, would be the most likely place to recover her at this point.
Absolutely. From the chat, Claudia Lanzer-Stoffer, thank you so much. She just gifted a police off the cuff membership to some lucky person. Also, Claudia, thank you for the £2 super sticker. From the chat, Elaine McKenzie, Bill, spitting out common sense over here, and why are other police forces not seeing it this way? They are. They're just not publicly saying it. They're not. They don't. They want to keep that optimistic face, even though they know in their heart that something horrible has happened to Suzanne, and they don't want to say it publicly. So it's a shame. Cat Sanctuary, they need EquiSearch. Texas EquiSearch, you're right. They're fantastic. And we know we've had dealings with them. I was on the honorary board of Texas EquiSearch. Dave Rader is a good friend of ours. But they have San Antonio Recovery, which is similar to Texas EquiSearch. Will they at some point? Texas EquiSearch doesn't get involved unless the police call them and ask for their assistance. So they're not going to just show up with all their equipment and everything. If they're asked, they will get involved. Simi Sharp, I think I may have taken the same class. That's what I was taught as well. I, for one, am not someone who looks away. I have pulled over and stopped on SA, gave the chick a ride home. Good for you, Simi. Yeah, it seems like, and I don't want to criticize the guy who saw what was going on. Maybe he called 911. Maybe he was afraid of the husband also, and he didn't want to intervene physically, but he did as much as he could do. Kim Alliston, thank you for all you do. You're a great moderator, great person. Legal-minded friends, Karen Cole, all the way from across the pond. She's drinking her glass of milk there, trying to stay healthy. Hope you have a piece of apple pie on the side also. Aunt BBB2, okay, they went out. Someone had to babysit the kids. Apparently, they were arguing right away. Maybe they heard something. I don't know. Aunt BB2, I sensed that there was a problem. This wasn't a first-time fight. It doesn't escalate to that level in a first-time fight. So apparently there was some domestic violence issues in this relationship. So it's a shame, but we see this all the time. Joanne W., yes, maybe that's why I got confused. He does have a brother, Bart Simpson. Yeah, that's true. It's not the Bart Simpson that we know and love from TV, though. But Jane C. from the chat, I hope they find her. They still haven't found Mamta Kafal Bhatt, whose husband is jailed for concealing a corpse with blood found, but she's still missing.
Yes.
Right. These cases are never, ever easy. So, yes, we hope and pray they do find her. This is the chief from Olmos County.
And we're cooperating with them to try to get as much help as we can. Obviously, these 4 kids miss their mom.
We are continuing to follow the very latest on the major search for a missing mother. Olmos Park Police releasing a new photo related to this case. And that is where we start tonight. We are following breaking developments in the case of a missing mother from Olmos Park.
Authorities are just wrapping up a media briefing on her disappearance. Her name is Suzanne Simpson. News 4 San Antonio's Destiny Fuller was at the briefing and joins us now live. Destiny, what did police and law enforcement say?
Police and search groups are all still searching for Suzanne, who went missing on Sunday, and her husband was recently arrested in connection with her disappearance. Now, in today's news briefing, police mentioned a photo. Almas Heights Police and Texas DPS released an image of Suzanne Simpson, and it was an image of her taken outside of the Argyle. They want people to take a close look at it just in case they have seen Suzanne since Sunday. Almas Park Police have since searched the family home along with the truck owned by Simpson, and Chief Fidel Villegas says they haven't found anything concrete to confirm her status at this time.
We would love for her to be alive, obviously. There's nothing concrete that says she's not alive. And again, I owe it to the family. We all owe it to the family to speak of her in a way where other people have been found, like I said, injured, in distress, lost, troubled, hiding away. All of those things are possible.
Villegas also says Simpson has not been cooperative with police. This morning, he was transferred to the custody of Bexar County from Kendall County. At this time, police say they're still gathering evidence and they will continue to search the home as needed. We'll bring you those updates as we have them. Reporting live in Almas Park, I'm Destiny Fuller. Back to you in studio.
And this is day 4 of the search for Suzanne Simpson.
That's right. A new development came today, as just mentioned.
Well, this is obviously now, this is day 7. This was an earlier report, but this is day 7. So there's no more helpful or hopeful information right now that they have.
Her husband, Brad Simpson, was transferred to the Bexar County Jail to be processed. Throughout the day, Alamos Park police went through the Simpson home, and last night they got help from Texas Search and Rescue to look for anything that may lead to finding Simpson. Her husband, Brad Simpson, remains in jail on 2 charges, one on assault and unlawful restraint.
We've also learned that Brad's brother, Bart Tinsley Simpson, posted this on Facebook, saying in part, "Our family is devastated by the disappearance of our beloved Suzanne. We're doing everything we can to fully cooperate with law enforcement, and our first priority is to find her and bring her home."
And our team coverage does continue tonight. We want to bring in News 4 San Antonio's Marisa Mendoza.
Marisa, you spoke with the defense attorney, Nico Lohid, today. What is he thinking about this high bond amount? Why was such a high amount set for Brad's?
Well, Mindy and Jonathan, he faces an assault charge as well as an unlawful restraint charge. Both carry a bond of $1 million each. What we do know is that Suzanne's husband, Brad, is at the Bexar County Jail being processed right now. In the meantime, we spoke to legal experts and a member of the specialized team leading the effort to find Suzanne.
But I'm assuming at this point he's the lead suspect for the fact that she has not been found.
Former Bexar County District Attorney Nico Lohid believes investigators are building a case against Brad Simpson. He's the husband of missing mother from Alamos Park, Suzanne Simpson. She was last seen alive Sunday night.
Now, if he's a suspect for something more sinister and for the fact that she is, I guess at this time, missing, they're gonna conduct an investigation. They're gonna look at motive. They're gonna see how he responded. They're going to talk to people that have surrounded them. They're going to look for any history between them two.
Wednesday night, Alamos Park police called in Texas Search and Rescue to help in their investigation. They focused on the wooded area across the street east of the Simpson house.
Making sure they preserve the crime scene if there is a crime scene.
Justin McInnes, president and CEO of the organization, says their trained staff use certified canines, drones, and tracking technology to find things a regular person may overlook.
We also have a lot of folks who are out in the field who are trained man trackers, so we can look for footprints and then follow a footprint and see where they go.
At this time, Simpson has not retained an attorney and remains in jail. Lohid says the investigation is fluid, so charges against Simpson can change at any given time.
They can be investigating one charge and then in the course of their investigation get evidence or some type of probable cause to lead them in a different direction. But I'm assuming at this point he's the lead suspect for the fact that she has not been found.
Now, Mandy and Jonathan, we did learn from the press conference that he did retain an attorney. We don't know who that attorney is, but I can tell you earlier today, we did visit the homes of Suzanne's 2 sisters. We did not get anyone at this time to speak to us on how her family or her children are doing. Of course, we will keep you all updated on this story.
So again, he's not cooperating. That is a bad sign. Claudia Lanzer, Stoffer, thanks again for the £2 super sticker. Could their argument be over she went to a party? No, they went to the party together. So they obviously were having some kind of relationship issues, a problem in their relationship. Now, as I said early on the show, now this is an investigation, a very deep investigation. They'll look into their financials also. Could there be some financial problems? Could he be the one having financial problems? And could he be spending all their money? Or what are they spending their money on? Apparently, he owned a ranch away from this house. Of course, that would be search warrant number 2. Well, maybe number 3. His vehicle, their home, and he has a ranch and the surrounding area of that ranch.
That's right.
Now, these search and rescue people, they're fantastic. And Texas EquiSearch, just as the search and rescue for the Texas Search and Rescue, which is a different organization, but they have drones that can determine where the ground has been disturbed. Why would the ground be disturbed? Because someone was trying to bury a body. So they have that technology. It seems like this is a very remote area. Horses, dogs. Let's get everything out there. Let's get all our resources out there. Let's get people out there. And, you know, it's 7 days. We all know what happens to a body that's out in the elements after 7 days. It decomposes. It becomes subject to animals, you know, without drawing a picture. Animals start to eat the body and it disappears. It becomes skeletonized. So all of these things are factors in this investigation. And as to why they need to use science to help them narrow down the search area, narrow down. Look, we saw how amazing the license plate readers were with Stefan Stearns. It tracked that jackass everywhere he went, right? And one other thing, not just the license plate readers, but a regular eyeball witness put Stefan Stearns right outside that wooded area where they found Madeline's body. So hopefully by putting out a picture, right? A picture of the last thing she was wearing. Maybe someone saw her, or maybe someone saw him, saw his big black pickup truck. Maybe someone took note that he was going really fast, or he looked upset, or whatever. Maybe someone else saw him. That's why you get the word out there. You use the media. Put this out there all over the media, right? Get it out there, because she's been missing now for 7 days. This is day number 7. And this man here is not going to cooperate. And yeah, it's a search for a missing mother of 4 children. So again, that old adage, if you see something, say something. That's got to be drilled into the heads of all the people in that surrounding area. Mike?
Yeah, and as you said earlier about the GMC pickup truck, you know, probably I would imagine after they had a fight, he may have taken her cell phone, and he probably had his own cell phone, and he had the GMC. If that's a late model, that's got GPS. Now, therefore, you can track the location where that truck went, where the cell phones went. And just like the people remember the missing moms, the Kansas moms that were found buried in that locked freezer, like 10 feet underground in rural Oklahoma about 6 months ago. God's useful idiots, whatever they're called, that group, you know, that the cell phone technology is amazing. And the GPS capability with phones is just remarkable, tracking it down. So once they get that information, I don't know how long it'll take them to get it, but once they get that information, he's probably was in an agitated state. He might not have had the wherewithal to leave his phone at home and her phone at home, or, you know, that sort of thing. No, he probably just took her in the truck, drove to a location, and I think secreted her body. But once they get that kind of information, they may be able to track down to a really small area where she may be, you know, with bloodhounds also and things like, you know, those sorts of resources. But I'm hoping that they recover her as fast as possible, because it would also help you with the coroner's report, what information they have. What did she have underneath her fingernails? Did she have skin cells from, you know, her, DNA, his DNA and skin cells underneath her fingers? You know, I want to know, did you also have scratches when they arrested him? Did he have scratches on his body that maybe he has no explanation for? You know, all of those things we need, because that will help figure out what went on. In addition, the fact that his own brother released that statement, perhaps you could leverage his brother and talk to his brother and find out what is the background. Maybe he talked to his brother a lot and mentioned about what was going on, you know, in the home that maybe a lot of other people wouldn't know. But you got to use and exploit every single resource you can at this point to bring her home.
Absolutely. Joanne W. from the chat. Oh, yes, Plunder did a deep dive on the finances. The finances are all part of what we call victimology and perpology, if you will. They'll look at Suzanne's finances, and they'll look at their dual finances. And it appears that he probably has some financial issues. Could that have caused the static between them that led to this, what appears to be a horrific incident? Liddy Sinan from the chat, she has a lover instinct. Well, I don't know that, but that would be part of the victimology also. Could she have been having an affair outside of a marriage? Could that have caused this this argument, this domestic violence? Absolutely. Good point. ASDFJKL, allegedly it was reported that he now has a public defender. He had to drop his attorney, which is interesting, financially speaking. Well, you don't just get a public defender because you want one. You have to prove that you qualify for it by being indigent. So if he qualifies for a public defender, he's got no money. But then, they could make him sell his ranch to pay for his legal representation, because they don't just give you a public defender. Trust me. Joanne W., financials are shady. Well, but financials can tell us a lot of things about their relationship. Simi Sharp from the chat, I love hearing Sergeant Bill and Mike speculate, seeing for ourselves how they figure stuff out with the facts that were given. I love that. Simi, thank you so much for your compliment. Confusing looking at their residences, ASDFJKL. Yes, but you know what? Some couples, even though they're married, keep their finances separate. Maybe the wife, right, Suzanne, is doing fine financially. Maybe he's not, right? So you can find that out by taking a deep dive. Yes, they have a big house. Outward look is that they're affluent, that they got money, right? But maybe not. Maybe he's doing poorly. Elaine McKenzie, I'm glad my husband and I met each other poor and worked our way up. We're not obsessed with money. That's good, Elaine. I'm obsessed with it, though. No, I'm just kidding. You work hard, but this could be, as we talk about victimology, the study of the victim, and he being the perpology, somewhere in those studies will be the answer to this horrible incident and what happened here. And then we use investigative skills, investigative technology, science to try to solve this thing. Folks, this is Police Off the Cuff, real crime stories. If you like real crime, true crime, from a police perspective, you're in the right place. And if you're not subscribed, just hit that red button on the screen that says subscribe, and then you'll be, voila, part of the Police Off the Cuff family. And if you want to contribute to us financially, we have a Patreon with 4 different levels, and we also have a YouTube channel membership with, count them, 5 different levels, and you can join the Police Off the Cuff family and contribute to this show so we can stay on the air and be healthy and wealthy and wise, right? Juicy Jules from the chat, Bill, are you my age? 50s, West Coast gal here. I was born in 1956, December. So, yes, I'm not shy. I'll be 68 in December. Kylie Cosmos, always do, Sarge. Kylie, good to see you. We try to give you an idea of what investigators are thinking, of what the police are thinking. And no stone can be left unturned. And it's so important in these investigations, not just to use science, not just to use the law, not just to use subpoenas, not just to use victimology, perpology, but it's important to talk to people. The old word canvassing. Canvass the whole damn neighborhood. Talk to Suzanne's coworkers. Talk to her friends. Because when there's problems, who do people talk to? They talk to their friends. And their friends may have information that, unless we, being the police, ask about, talk about, we'll never find out about. Canvassing the neighborhood. The neighbors are there as often as the Simpsons, right? Did you notice anything unusual in their relationship? You bet there's going to be other neighbors that said, yes, he was violent with her, or he was always screaming at her. I mean, it tells us something about this relationship and about what may have happened here. And I'm telling you, what happened here is not going to be good. Mike.
Is got a lot of other issues besides this. He's facing these charges of unlawful imprisonment, assault, and he's suspect number one in his wife's disappearance and maybe her death. He also has federal problems because the ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and now they call it Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. The ATF is interested in him, and that tells me that he's probably engaging in illicit firearms transactions, maybe firearms that aren't allowed under the law, maybe fully automatic, firearms. So my guess is he may have been looking to make extra money on the firearms black market. And so therefore, the fact that he's got these other problems and he's got the ATF investigating him, and they have already told the Bexar County sheriff's department that if he's going to be released, to notify them first so they can pick him up, because he's got so many issues right now. He doesn't know where to turn, left or right. He needs lawyer help as fast as he can get it. He doesn't know what to do, but his future is not looking good. He may not see the light of day or walk a free man for the rest of his life. And I think right now, probably the world would be a better place if that was the case. But he's got a lot of problems, state and federal, right now facing him.
Absolutely. Dogs Gang, can't they retrieve information from her phone network without the physical phone and her internet via Google, all without her physical phone? Dogs Gang, yes, they can. They absolutely can. And they don't need the physical phone to do the searches and get the information. Text messages, of course, right? Calls, call forwarding, calls received, outgoing calls, timelines, GPS, places that you've been, all the contents of your phone. Yes, a treasure trove of information is on every single one of our phones. And I don't think I've met anyone in the last 20 years that doesn't have a phone. If anyone can say, yeah, I know someone that doesn't, I think it's very rare for someone not to have a phone. So that all comes into the investigation. The cell phones, the technology, the GPS on his truck. That's going to pinpoint, I think, where if she is in fact dead, where he dumped her body. And that's why they're focusing on certain areas and not others, because they do have some of this information. Is it all back already? We don't know if it's all back, but sometimes some of these search warrants and these searches, these digital searches, take some time to come back. It's not like on TV when they say, "Hey, I got the phone work back," and an hour later. That really doesn't happen. And TV, of course, does a disservice, but they just want to make money, right? Kylie Cosmos, mo money, mo problems. Yeah, that's right. For sure, right? The more money you have bigger problems, bigger houses, bigger problems. That's right. Legal-minded friends, Karen Cole, just put a thumbs up. Well, thank you. Thank you for putting a thumbs up. Welcome to the show again, Karen. Good to see you all the way from across the pond. Jacqueline Johnson, always great to see you. Manifest it. You don't look a day over 60. Well, thank you. I try to stay as young as I possibly can, but all the time is always ticking, right? Look at Mike. Mike's got brown hair. How does that work out? Is he using the Grecian formula 44? I don't know.
I got my secrets.
He's got his secrets. Amy Marta from the chat, a new member. Welcome to the Police Off the Cuff family. Thank you so much for joining. Joanne W. Wow, I haven't heard that yet, Professor. I don't know what you're referring to. Well, what did Mike say that was Dogs gang, were they involved in social get-togethers such as church or anything else social? That will all be determined, Dogs gang, by the victimology, by looking into the backgrounds. We don't know. They're going to discover some things, the investigators, of what's going on. And as I said, from speaking to friends, family, associates, neighbors, all of those things are going to give them an idea of what the hell's going on.
Husband is sitting in jail, accused of assaulting her. Suzanne Simpson was last seen Sunday, October 6th, at her home near San Antonio, Texas. The photo on the left is an image of her on that day wearing a dark dress and tan heels. Police say she hasn't been to work or checked on her children, 2 of them, since. An arrest warrant was obtained by KSAT News, and it states that a neighbor heard that Suzanne and her husband, Brad, argued on Sunday. And this neighbor was very detailed with his account of this. He says he actually witnessed a physical altercation. He told police that Suzanne was trying to get away from her husband. About an hour later, he says Brad Simpson left the house in his vehicle and then returned an hour or 2 after that. Monday, nobody picked up the kids from school, so staff called the husband. Police say that the Simpsons' children told parents that told the school that the parents were fighting and that dad assaulted mom and took her cell phone away. Brad Simpson now in jail on charges of assaulting his family member. It was assault causing bodily injury or an unlawful restraint. And authorities say he is being, quote, uncooperative. So we're asking the question, will the arrest help lead to some answers as to what happened to Suzanne? Let's talk about it. Joining us now, State Attorney.
I'm not going to listen to these guys talk about it. The arrest, it keeps them where they want them. But folks especially some of our European friends here, in the United States, when you get arrested, and once you get arraigned, you have an absolute right to an attorney. So once you get an attorney, all cooperation is over. You're not going to talk to the police because your attorney is going to advise you not to talk to the police. So no, the police cannot get any information from him unless, and this almost never happens, he goes to his attorney and says, look, I want to tell the police something. And his attorney will probably tell him, no, don't do that. Don't do that. But so a lot of you folks I read in the chat want to think that the police can just go in and talk to him now. No, they can't. It's over. When he was arrested, that was the only chance they had to interview him. And if he was going to come across and tell them what happened, that would have been the time. But that time is now over. Mike.
Yeah, the only thing he has really right now, any kind of leverage at all, is to tell him where he put her body. He doesn't have anything else to give, nothing else to bargain with. And I think in some weird way, he's sitting there in his cell. He's looking at assault charges. He's looking at, unlawful restraint charges. And so maybe he figures day after day after day, if somehow by some miracle they never find her body, then he'll get off on that, and he'll sooner or later get some sort of bond reduction or get tried or whatever it happens to be. But he's got nothing really to give them except the location. And they'll figure that out pretty soon. So he has nothing. So therefore, his attorney's telling him to be quiet. And if I'm his defense attorney, he's got nothing to bargain away. I think I'd probably tell his attorney, look, if you tell them where the body is, they're going to charge you with murder. That's just the way it goes. So right now, keep your mouth shut. I mean, I hate to say that, but that's as a defense attorney, I think that would be the best move to tell him. That'd be the best job you could do as his attorney. But the fact that he isn't cooperating at all tells you what happened. Everybody knows they didn't have a fight. She packed a bag and left, and she's going to take some money and she's going to start a new life. No, the fact that he's not cooperating, he has her phone. She hasn't been heard from. She's not communicating with with any of her children. She's a mom of 4 children. What mom of 4 children is not going to communicate with her children. She's not going to report to work. She's a real estate agent. She's probably doing very well. She's not reporting to work. Yeah, this isn't good. And there's no way he's going to open up his mouth because he would only at this point make things worse for himself if he actually opened up his mouth and cooperated with the police. Sadly, I think that's really the fact. That's why he's not going to say a word.
You know, Mike, so this goes full, of course, and not just today, but this goes full blown into the investigative part of this case, of course. And we mentioned early on in the show, of course, search warrant for their home. That should have been done very early on in the investigation. 2, search warrant on his truck. 3, 4, search warrant on his phone, her phone, search warrant on laptops, computers, all of those things. So there's a lot of investigative moving parts in these cases. And then, of course, the searches and the victimology, the canvassing, talking to as many people as possible, talking to the family. The family knows this whole story. And I believe the family knows this is not going to end well. Her poor kids, you know, because, of course, the kids always want to be hopeful that mom's still alive. But in my police experience, in my investigative experience, this is not good. This is 7 days. The story behind it, the fight, the physical altercation, the fact that they were out, right? The screams from a wooded area. An hour, 2 hours later, he speeds off in his pickup truck. Who do you think was in that pickup truck with him? Or what was in that pickup truck with him? It was mostly Suzanne's body. And whatever he did or wherever he dumped her happened that night. So not easy to find out what he did, where he went, where he dumped her. But that's almost a given. And we hate to be the people, the bearers of bad news, but it's just logic that all these nefarious things occurred and we can't expect a good outcome from this. We can't expect like, oh, she's going to walk through the front door and say, oh, I just needed a few days to get away. You know, I don't see that. And you could see it on the faces of the police, of the chief. Even though he's trying to remain optimistic, he doesn't believe for a minute that this is going to end well.
Yeah, he's putting the best face forward that he could, you know, in order to maybe help people, encourage people to help look for her, but and keep the story in the news and keep everybody interested and you know, as they say, if you've seen something, call, you know, that sort of thing, giving people hope. But yeah, he's not some rookie cop. He knows how this is going to end. He's been around a long time. So this isn't probably the first kind of case like this that he's ever handled. These don't go well, these kind of cases. We know that. And looking at it as we do from a law enforcement perspective, you see a theme with these cases. And we kind of know pretty much 99% where this is going.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. Let me play a little bit of this.
To file charges as a prosecutor, you want to have enough evidence that you can charge beyond a reasonable doubt, because once you charge, then the clock starts ticking. So he'll be charged if they have enough evidence with murder, but only then, because if you do it too soon, that clock starts ticking and you could lose the whole case.
David, Bruno, if you're representing him, what are you telling him? Do you still continue to be uncooperative? What would be your advice?
Sure. It's rule number one of criminal defense is remain silent. And I have a problem with the characterization of being uncooperative, you know, because the Fifth Amendment applies to the innocent and the guilty. If that's the case, because he's invoked his right to remain silent, which the Constitution offers to everybody, that is an unfair characterization in the public opinion. With that being said, look, there's...
I so disagree with that attorney. That's from a defense attorney's perspective. Yeah. First of all, this is a missing wife, all right? Mm-hmm. And if you didn't do anything, if you're totally innocent, then you would be cooperating, you'd be searching, you'd be helping. So, you know, it's almost laughable that he says, I have a problem with this being uncooperative. Oh, really? Really? Well, is your wife missing? You know, it just a little bit ridiculous, I think, from the mouth of a defense attorney.
You know, there's a two. You can push back a little there, David. It's unfair in the legal world, but it's fair in the layman's world, is it not? That the neighbor, this guy doesn't seem to care about his missing wife, and he's got 2 kids without a mom. Where is she? And if he's not helping, so I get what you're saying. Legally, it's the right way to go, but public opinion is, dude, where's the wife?
Yeah, well, prosecutors, they're ethically responsible for their statements to the public. And look, there's 2 charges, and the bail set on the 2 charges is $2 million, $1 million on each. So obviously they have some pretty good evidence to think that this is the guy. They're looking for help because there's no cell phone of the victim. They got to find the victim's phone, obviously. Where's the GPS on where it was? Where was the movement on that? And this neighbor that has the evidence about watching a physical altercation and restraint is the starting point for the investigation. So I know that he's being uncooperative in a sense, but when somebody has committed some sort of offense or crime, any defense attorney would tell them to remain silent because it's constitutional right.
Mike, the window here is fairly limited in terms of hiding a body. If, let's say, assume that the unthinkable has happened and that he has killed her, that she didn't just flee and is now hiding out somewhere, which is what people are hoping. But let's say he did kill her. He's got about a 4, when you factor in his coming and going through the neighbor, it's a matter of hours. Are you confident that this will be solved in the near future?
I mean, we always hope that we can solve.
You know, first of all, let's make it clear. They can charge him even if they don't find the body. They have enough evidence. And as that defense attorney said, $2 million bond, they got some evidence against him. They're not just slapping $2 million bond because he's the husband and they were seen having a tiff together. I believe they have some physical evidence. They have some real proof, evidence, something that makes something else apparent, right? And I think they have plenty of evidence against him because they don't just slap $2 million worth of bond on someone that they have nothing against them. So yes, and the other thought, and I know the question would be asked soon, can they charge him with murder if they don't find the body? And the answer is yes, they can. And they can get a conviction. Circumstantial evidence, right? That from which inferences are drawn, circumstantial evidence. And they'll have a ton of circumstantial evidence against this guy. And no, they do not have to. It helps a lot, helps a great deal. And as you heard the former prosecutor say, they will not slap the murder indictment on him until they're ready to go because the speedy trial clock starts. And they don't want to be responsible for the speedy trial clock hitting that stopwatch for it to start clicking. So they're going to wait until they have as much evidence as possible. And then if he's, the next thing they're going to speak about is, oh, could you lower his bond? That's ridiculous. He doesn't have that kind of money. And that's when they'll slap the indictment for murder on him. If in fact, again, we're jumping the gun because they haven't found her, but this case looks like it's going that way, Mike.
Yeah, he's got 2 felonies already against him: the unlawful restraint and the assault. So therefore, he's on, as you say, he's on ice. He's not going anywhere. It's going to take a while before they finish this investigation. I'm confident they will find her because the window of opportunity for him to hide a body and get back to his house was pretty brief. So it's not like they didn't discover this or nobody reported this and it was 6 months or whatever. No, this was a really short time frame. So therefore, there's a limited area where she could possibly be, and I believe they will find her. There's no hurry whatsoever. he's got these other 2 cases hanging over his head. And besides that, he's got the federal investigation. No charges yet on the federal side, but they may be coming. Who knows? But yeah, he's got a lot on his plate right now, and therefore the police can take their time, get all that information. Of course, you don't want to take your time. You want to recover her as fast as you possibly can, and get all of that scientific, DNA and everything else that you can get from the body, and get the medical examiner's report and do that autopsy and figure out exactly how she may have been unalived, as you say.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the law enforcement right now is actually in the driver's seat completely on this case.
Absolutely. Heather Whatever is responding to how old the children are in this family. One is college age, 2 from another marriage, and 1 is 5 years old. And one of them, apparently, that was supposed to be picked up at the school, spoke to the school officials on that the father was getting physical with his mother. So the police have apparently interviewed at least one of them in regards to that. And believe it or not, I mean, the kids sometimes can tell you a great deal, can really, Chihuahua Dawson, data dumps are timely, takes a lot of time, even weeks. Chihuahua, you're right. Even cell phone, people think that, when a police department does a search warrant on a cell phone, who gets them that information? The carrier. And if the carrier is overwhelmed with other requests, they take their sweet ass time. And guess what? It's not free. It can cost $500 per day for that cell phone information. And you think they're going to be like, oh, the government requests, it's free. No, it's not free. Whoever the carrier is, AT&T, Verizon, they charge $500 per day for that information. And then you want, LUDs and tolls. You want cell site information. You want text. You're asking for a lot of things. They have to have staff on to produce this data dump stuff. So it's, as I said, nothing's free, and it takes a while. It can take 3 to 5 days. It could take 7 days. It could take 10 days. That's all dependent. And now in this case, as we enumerated, there's at least 2 cell phones. There's got to be at least 1 or 2 laptops in the house, you would think, right?
That's right.
The GPS on the car, the car's computer, to see where that car has gone, or it's been. Searching, of course, this they can do automatically. Search that license plate with license plate readers. If they, in fact, have them right in that area, it can tell us where he's passed specific locations at specific times. So all of this stuff is digital evidence, and it was mentioned the technology called geofencing, which can pull up electronic data in a specific area at a specific time. And that potentially could pinpoint his ass to where, if he in fact did dump his wife's body somewhere. So all of these things are the science of investigation. It didn't seem like they had enough people. It seemed like they needed more people to do these searches. And even the chief, I think his name was Villegas, said that we don't have the manpower right now. Then get the manpower right now. Even use the public. Use the media. Play the media like a Stradivarius violin. Play them. Use them. They are very powerful. Just putting out that picture in the media. Maybe someone saw something, Maybe someone heard something. If you see something, say something. If you hear something, say something, right? Because right now, this guy here is sitting in a jail cell, and he may never, ever get out of there again. But this woman next to him, his wife of 22 years, Suzanne Simpson, something very bad has apparently happened to her. And we hope that it ends well, but based on the facts and circumstances, it doesn't appear like that's going to be the case. Mike, your final thoughts.
I think that you're right. The police chief needs the help of the public. Just think of the Madeline Soto case. The gentleman saw his picture on TV during a news story and recalled seeing Stefan Stearns on a country road. So that gave the police, a really great area to figure out where to start from. And then they spread it out and they found her very quickly. In this case, also, the public was excellent because without that neighbor calling the police and reporting what he saw and what he heard, we would not have this guy sitting in a cell on ice facing 2 felony charges. And that is so important to try to keep him on ice. And so therefore we can hopefully successfully recover her remains. But people will keep on top of this story, and people should just keep their fingers crossed that her body is recovered and there'll be closure for the family and justice for her and justice for the family.
Absolutely. Bo Peep from the chat. Who took the kids to school? I don't know the answer to that. One of them apparently is college age. Perhaps there was only 2. I think there's 2 younger ones, and then maybe there was only 1 kid going to school, and potentially, and I don't know for a fact, but possibly could have got on a bus, right? And then just gets picked up at the end of the day by his mother, who of course never showed up because she's missing. And that would never happen unless something really bad happened to the mom. She was a very responsible mom, and she would have been there to pick up a child. Simi Sharp, my final thought, I'd like to request you add a mic emoji, please. She keeps saying, I'm going to have to give it some thought and use some artistic talent. I'll have to come up with a good one, Simi. You're welcome, Simi. Heather, whatever. Yes, it's sad. I'm glad to see a lot of you guys in the chat today. This is a very sad case of these missing person cases that really are more than missing persons, No quarter from the chat. Hi, Sarge. Hi, Professor. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the show. So, folks, that's going to be our report on this case. We try to give it to you realistically, and we could report for you and report, that we think, that she's going to show up tomorrow morning and she's going to be fine. But based on the facts and circumstances in this case, it doesn't look very good. So, folks, anyway, have a wonderful night. I'm Bill Cannon from Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. On behalf of myself and Professor Mike Geary, have a great night and God bless everyone.